All right, greetings and welcome once again. Oh my goodness, it's been a while, like 2 weeks. But anywho, I'm late, right? So this is almost to the top of the third episode. But I want to do a quick review. It's gonna be really quick because I have some other things to do on the second episode of The Underground. If you haven't seen it, I'll put the link in the box because now that I did the walkthrough, the blow by blow on the first episode, and we're reading these narratives in the LEV project, we want to be able, if we can see maybe what I don't see and you can see and we can exchange and stuff like that. So I'm not going to do the blow by blow this time, but the link is definitely in the box because Underground is putting their episodes for replay on their site, right? So what was that? The first episode after I saw it, I said some stuff, and then I said we're gonna wait to see if it's true. One of the things I saw was the dynamic between the mistress and her waiting maid. And I said because for me, the way the mistress was speaking about her son, the way she had a nasty attitude towards her, and based on the narratives that we read, oftentimes this would mean that she was very indignant. She was very jealous of the fact that she couldn't do nothing because her husband must have been laying with her forcibly or otherwise. This is what I said. If you missed it, go back to the first episode. Well, ding, 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 slave narratives, ding, 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 ding. Okay, so in this episode, you actually see it. He has a house party. This is like midway through the episode, but I'm jumping just to confirm that the slave, this is, you can kind of basically see what's going on behind the actions. So she says, oh, didn't you want some wine, such and such, in the cellar? She goes down there and she's using now her female sexuality. This is the slave, the enslaved woman. She's using that because she wants safety for the son, which the son looks like he's the son of the slave master. And oftentimes the narratives tell us that the slave masters would have their sons and their daughters right there in the mix as their own slaves. But it was taboo to say anything. And so people would know and they would whisper, and the mistresses would be very jealous because they couldn't do anything because they were just as confined as the enslaved people were. And so as a result, they would take out this frustration on their waiting maid or the person who they think is the guilty culprit. Go figure. So this is what we see here. We see the man being a whole two-faced thing, and we also see a confirmation in that. Another interesting thing that I saw was the Europeans. There was a story, I think we were just reading about, oftentimes the slaves didn't have underwear. And so we see that depicted in the portion where he goes after the traveling store, so to say. This man he looks like a carpetbagger, like, you know, and he's going after him for contraband. Can you believe at this space and time, pen and paper is contraband? So when he goes to him, when Noah, the character, goes to him and he's like, yo, what you want? He was like, man, I need this pen and paper. He was like, you want them to skin and tar me alive? This is contraband. Pen and paper is contraband because by this time abolition is huge. This is right before, you know, getting in the space of the Civil War. A lot of places, we read that earlier. If you missed the videos, we have them here on the site, and we were looking at North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, and all their laws against slaves writing and reading. And so he knew that it was a penalty for the person who provided these things, as well as whips or whippings for the slaves. So basically, when this overseer, who is not the elite class, but he's not the slave class, so he's kind of in the middle, when he comes to the man and approaches him, I don't want to kind of ruin it, but it was just commonplace. Take off your clothes. Okay, and so now you're constantly exposed to his nudity. When you go to whip him, the stories are always talking about them whipping them naked. You're just always exposed to his nudity. So in the natural human comparative, you can see that there's an internal dialogue or an internal jealousy or an internal indifference that obviously the man, you know what I mean, he's doing his thing as opposed to you. So you can see that they'll be taking also out this aggression on our men because of their natural endowment. Let me just put it like that. Okay, another interesting thing is that the waking up of Rosalie, which is which is the young girl who's now, she got whipped for her brother. She saw the slave retaliation where she took the life of her child, and so now she's thinking, is there something else? It's funny, in the scene she goes to her mother and she says, have you ever envisioned other lives? But her mother's mind automatically goes to the negative, and then she begins to recount some of the things that have happened. She says, yeah, I've envisioned it thousands of times, but her envisioning is worse. Rosalie is envisioning what can be, and the mother is envisioning what she knows is. She says, I can be sold down south. She says that she can be picking cotton till her hands bleed. She says that, she could be on a breeding farm. So she starts repeating a lot of these narratives that we have heard, where you can go on the auction block if they don't like you. So in her mind, she has settled in a space where this is better than what it could be. And that's very interesting to note, that although they weren't totally happy about the situation, many of the enslaved people measured their treatment. We just read one that said that they would argue, the slaves would argue about whose master was better, and they would chide each other or attack each other verbally if you had a poor master. So basically, her master is rich, she's sleeping with the master. Even though she has to take this negative vibe from the mistress, it could be worse in her mind. And this is what she's telling her daughter, it could be worse. So we have to, for me, we don't have to, but it's good to kind of get these narratives and see how it would work in 3D, how it would work with a human being, how it would work when measuring your reality, as opposed to, again, the quarterbacking of what you wouldn't do from what you would do. She chose to, like I said, and there was some who did that. They chose to willingly negotiate with the master through, like people like to say, via, I don't want to be crass because there might be children watching this, but via sexual favors or coupons, so to say, so that she can negotiate her standing. Some people rebelled. You understand? The Jezebel is kind of what they would call the mother, because the Jezebel is the one who's going to use her sexual nature to kind of get what she wants. And so this would be the stereotypical Jezebel. And I think, and I'm still looking at the way in which the European woman forms this stereotype. Or everybody is doing their rebellion or compliance based on their mindset and where they are. And then let me just shift a little bit to the group that is now running away. And I hope you go and look at this and tell me what else you saw. There's much more, but I'm not going to, like I said, the group who is running away, the foreman, who oftentimes they say is black, he feels like for some reason, because Massa has given him power over his brother and sisters, who he's beating, who he's chiding, because if he doesn't do it, that's his behind. So you have to understand the dynamic of pressure from each side. If you don't do it, then you'll end up like them and somebody else would do it. So oftentimes they would say that the foreman was worse than the European, because he had something to prove. And we see that today, where people say when you work for a black person, they're worse because they're trying to prove to master, look, keep me in this vest and keep me in this space, just don't make my fate worse. So we have to understand that the trust has eroded on all sides. Everybody's kind of like for self to a certain degree, because any change or any show that you are not doing the master's bidding can worsen your state of being, which is just a wild dynamic. But the funny part that I saw is that when he realized that you are in the same position. And so basically, I'm not going to ruin it. There was a little bit of a setup, and he realized he was set up, and he was upset about that. But the reality is that it was a wake-up call for him, that you and your brothers are in the same position, or you and your sisters are in the same position. And so again, that is my review. I look forward to seeing what's happening. Who we thought in the first episode, the European who we thought was going to be aiding slaves, he actually, because he has mounting costs and he is also part, he's actually playing devil's advocate, where he's pretending like he's aiding them, but he's really turning them in. So the loyalty I see in this system, this peculiar institution, I keep saying peculiar institution, that's what they used to call it, you could definitely look it up. So in this peculiar institution, the dynamic is one that, how did I forget about the abolitionist, who now, because she had lost a child, it looks like in the other episode, and they don't agree with what's happening, we see that the slave master, his brother is an abolitionist. If you didn't miss that, check it out, because his brother comes to visit him. So his brother is actually, and the wife is actually the abolitionists now, who are fighting against this peculiar institution. And there were many of them who on the record knew that it was wrong and went against the law of the land to show that not only do I know it's wrong, I'm going to do something about it. So again, that's my review, kind of. It is matching up so far. Again, you know, they're putting in the contemporary music of this nature. But one more thing is the pastor's wife, who is actually the brains. She's not the brains. She's the one who knows how to read and write. Noah is the brains, but she's the one who knows how to read and write. And now they're looking to get the seal in order to make it official that the master's the one who gave them these papers. And she was set. This is what I was saying last week. I think I was saying it last week. She was set or resolved to stay because she was thinking about her child and whether or not the child could make the journey. But the father in this case was like, no, I'm not leaving them. I'm not leaving you behind. I'm taking you with you. In a lot of instances, the father didn't do that. In a lot of instances, he would try to come back, or he would just try to run away because he himself couldn't take it anymore. And I know some people didn't like that whole father running away thing, but you don't got to get mad at me. You could just really look it up and you know, fact check, and we'll be fact checking and make sure that what we're saying or the information that we're disseminating is correct. So with that said, that was my review. I'm sorry. I'm like, what's this? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm like 4 days late. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's been a wild time. So definitely take care of yourself, protect yourself, and continue to learn and grow and love one another. Until next time, one. Oh, I'm sorry. This has been Amuna Yisrael, LEV Project, Solonomics 101. We have the new book coming out, so definitely check out the new book. It's not out yet, but it is Solonomics 101. That's the name of the book. In case you've been wondering all this time what in the world is Solonomics, it's Solonomics 101. It will be coming out soon, and it's a step-by-step process of really, it's a do-it-yourself guide for basically evaluating yourself and finding your purpose and navigating through this, the epigenetics of slavery. And so I'll tell you more about it. But until next time, once again, my name is Amuna Yisrael. One.